and welcome back to KangBrosTV. This is a reaction video to Pulev versus Joshua. Job done. I would definitely say job done. Our predictions were right. We both said that this fight didn't see it as a banana skin. We felt that Joshua was going to win. The only thing we didn't get right was the round. When Pulev survived the third round, I thought my prediction is going to come on perfectly with a fourth round stoppage. Then he went past your prediction of 7. He was still in there. So my just quick outtake on it is that this job done, but me personally, I wasn't as convinced as other people.
Well, there's a few people that obviously a lot of people have been speaking about it, but I think the consensus is that it was a bit surprising because a lot of people thought the same thing, that once he's gone down in the third or whatever, that he was going to just take him out from there, and it was almost like, well, a fresher, younger Pulev probably potentially causes him more problems. You know, that fight maybe a few years back, and again, someone made the point to me earlier, was that Klitschko fought Pulev in his better days and took him out in 5 rounds. A fresher, and this is a fresh Klitschko against a fresher Pulev, and he took him out in 5 rounds. So this is an older Pulev that Joshua fought, and once it looked that he was not going to be intimidated and he wasn't going to be scared, or there was no way that he was going to sit back and just allow Anthony Joshua to dominate the fight, I did look a little bit like Anthony Joshua looks like he's running out of ideas a little bit here. That's kind of what I thought. So I guess the question is what was the take on the performance, on Joshua's performance? What do you think? What was the strategy? What was the game plan?
Like, I disagree with what you said there. Like, I think Joshua still knocks out a younger Pulev. Like, Pulev for me has proven that when he gets hit, he doesn't deal with it too well. And even in this fight here, you can hear how nervous he was, how scared he was to even throw something just in case something come backwards. So I think he knew that as soon as he gets hit, he ain't be able to deal with it. So I still think Joshua will be able to deal with him. But you could tell this fight wasn't that serious. You know, like, just as we said, this wasn't a banana skin. Joshua finished the fight, bopped out the ring, started chatting to Mayweather like nothing had happened, and come back in and said, yeah, let me start celebrating afterwards. That's how much it didn't really mean anything. Like, he just literally jumped out the ring and carried on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that situation is because of the situation where we are in just today's day and age. Things are very different. He wouldn't do that normally because you'd have 90,000 fans in there or whatever. So I don't know. It's weird times at the moment. So him jump out the ring to see Mayweather. There's only a handful of people that were there.
But what I'm saying is that the fight wasn't like ever for me a problem for Joshua. And the only thing that the reason why I wasn't convinced is when the third round happened. Okay, a lot of people saying to me, nah, you know what it was? He wanted the rounds. This is why he took it to the length of the fight. He didn't rush it. He was patient. Yes, he was, because you don't want to run into it and land something and get caught, right? So I get that. But after the third round, it should have been stopped, I think, after the next few rounds after that. And if you want the rounds, you need to be able to dictate the fight.
Yeah, he wasn't doing that.
And he wasn't doing that. So if you're trialing something, or you're trying something new, I want you to use your jab, double up on your jab, triple up on your jab, dictate the fight from there, and then put him to sleep. But Pulev was coming in. There was
that one time when he turned his back, one of the knockouts when Pulev turned his back, when I thought to myself, okay, what's he doing? The one thing I also said to Pulev is that he knows the dark arts of boxing, yeah? Consistently punching after the bell. What was that time? He punched him when the bell finished. Like, what was that about? Yeah. I think he was a dirty fighter. I thought he gave, from a perspective of, if you look at it from Pulev's angle, I think he gave a good account of himself. He judged Joshua to 8-9 rounds, whatever it was in the end, and he's gone out. He got caught with some good shots, and he got taken out. He's earned himself a good paycheck for that. He's earned his money.
3 mil.
Well, he's earned that, hasn't he? He's earned that money because of and he gave a good account of himself. My only thing is, I don't, as I said, you put the whole Pulev thing to one side and you look at Joshua, what's next, and everyone knows you can't say Joshua without Fury. You just can't. But your point was that performance yesterday is not beating Fury. You said that, right? That's your thought. Now, my counter argument to that was, I think Joshua does prepare for fights. He doesn't say, right, this is how I'm going to fight, and hopefully it will be, I'll get through it. He's skilled enough to go away and say, right, okay, this is what the other person brings to the table, so I'm going to negate this. That performance yesterday doesn't beat Fury, but also at the same time, I think he would prepare differently if he was fighting someone like Fury. I've said it for a while now, and I still stand behind this. I think Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight on the planet. I think Tyson Fury is one of the best heavyweights we've had in boxing for a long, long time. I've been saying this for a long time, and I know people will disagree and laugh me out of the room. Anthony Joshua, for me, does not beat Tyson Fury. And yesterday's performance was another example as to, I think, why you look at it and think He's not as slick. He's not as slick as Tyson Fury. So as much as Joshua's done what he needed to do, and it's on to the next one, and now you can start talking about the next fights, and you can talk about the U6 and vacating belts and having a unification, whatever. You can start talking about all that. But for me, I'm not convinced.
And that's what it is. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we're big AJ fans, and he got the job done, and he got it done convincingly for me. And he took his time, all this kind of stuff. Like I said, but now, like my brother said here, every time you look at Joshua fight, you're trying to analyze it, thinking, is this good enough to beat Fury? That's what it is. So that's why I couldn't fully enjoy the victory. You're thinking, all right, he's done his job. He smashed Pulev, moved on to the next one. I couldn't really enjoy it because I was too busy looking, thinking, what can I see in here that he can take and go and beat Fury with? And just like you said there, he's still too upright. He's still too rigid. His style there just kind of suits Fury to the ground, literally. Even Wilder, you think that if you stay upright, that Wilder's not going to land over 12 rounds, and it only has to be half a punch with Wilder. So, and I still want to see that fight, but there's things there that for me still kind of worry me. And I don't get me wrong, I still want to see the fights, but at this moment in time, even though like my heart tells me I want to go for AJ, but my brain just tells me, listen, there's no way that he's good enough to beat Fury over 12 rounds. And then, as you mentioned, that's really where we are now. And people have said to me, they want us to debate is the fact that, do you think this fight actually happens? Some people are still convinced that this is all bullshit. All this talk about who's ducking who, rare. I don't believe either one of the fighters is ducking, to be honest with you. I think the pressure needs to be put on the promoters now. Eddie Hearn, Bob Arum, they're the ones that need to be the pressure. Because
the other thing is, before you talk about will it be made, the one thing you got to look at it is you sat there thinking, is this good enough to beat him? If you're sat there and you're Fury and you're watching that, you're thinking, get me in with him. I'm happy. I'm good to go. That's what you'll be saying, and that's what I'd be thinking if I was Team Fury. So we're like, nothing of that performance tells me that I need to be worried about this guy. He's don't get me wrong. There was bits of yesterday when the counter punches, the Mayweather flipping, the roll and the check-in and counter was the counter punch was very good, and it was nice to see. But
he slipped shots. His foot movement was alright at some stages.
But that's against Pulev. That's against a Kubrat Pulev. Now, if I'm looking at something like against Fury, the movement's not quick enough for something like Fury moves like a welterweight in the heavyweights division. Do you know what I mean? And I think to myself, if you're Fury, you're going to be like, right, okay, that fight yesterday gives me all the confidence that I needed to know that I can win. Like, I can win this fight quite comfortably. So, will it get done is the question, because some people are saying it's not going to happen. It's just, you can forget it. People dodges this person, dodges that person. I don't believe it's a case of dodging, but I also think to myself, you could walk away from that fight. That fight could be 100 million, for example, or a multi.
I read somewhere today it was maybe $500 million. $500 million we're talking for two fights in the contract for rematch, whatnot. About $500 million you're talking.
So why would you then rush that fight for 2021? I know that there's the vacating of I know the WBO are going to be involved. I know the WBA are saying certain things. Dillian White's going to fight Povetkin. Once he fights Povetkin, and if he beats him, then all of a sudden he's back in the mixture about, does he get his shot at Fury's belt? Then you've got Usyk and Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is now all of a sudden put himself right in contention to fight for a belt. He ain't got loads of time left in his tank. Usyk's probably thinking, well, I need to kind of get myself way out there. So are you going to vacate? So there's a lot of caveats involved. So if they're going to make it, it has to be made pretty soon. But then from a business perspective, you're going to look at it and say, I tell you what, if we can wait maybe a year, vaccines are out or whatever, this is going to be one of the highest grossing fights, ticket sales and whatever that you're ever going to see.
Yeah, I mean, if people are allowed back in the stadiums, then we can. I think I saw some posts. I think you shared it with maybe in Saudi Arabia in springtime, May time, April time, whatever.
Stick it in Dubai, because fuck me, everyone else is out there at the moment anyway.
Bro, everyone's out there.
Everyone's in Dubai at the moment anyway, so just stick it out in Dubai and you're sorted. Because COVID doesn't go there; it's on annual leave.
Yeah, and I didn't agree with Tyson Fury about his. As soon as the fight happened, he went out there saying that Anthony Joshua's. You can tell that he's dodging me. He made it quite clear there. I think he's almost at that stage where he's kind of fed up of actually mentioning it. He's mentioned it so many times that it's not like I've never seen AJ call out Fury. He's been doing it for a long time, and it's a bit like you keep saying the same shit over again. I think even I would get bored if I was the fighter, and that's what it was.
It's also like, listen, you weren't even at the fight. They offered to you to come to the fight, and you wanted to be arrogant and say I'm not coming or whatever. So you can sit there and say he dodged the fight, but they openly invited you, you didn't go. So
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I know they're trying to sell the fight and big the fight, but that fight don't need to sell. That fight has sold itself. Don't fall into the trap of what Mayweather and Pacquiao did. Don't fall into the. I don't know, you can't even put them in the same bracket, but Brooke and Khan have done with this. Have they longed it out? the time is now, isn't it? The time is now. So,
it is. That's it. It's done. Like now, that's the only fight that we should be talking about. Forget Wilder, forget everyone else, because first they had this trilogy with Wilder and stuff, right? Forget that. It's just this fight now, and this is all the belts on the line in the UK, whatever. No, not in the UK, but I mean British fighters. And let's get it done. And that's one thing we should be talking about now. So
hopefully that get done. Like I said, so Anthony Joshua, well done. You did what you needed to do. We called it. It's pretty much gone that way.
And people said to us, don't they, or like viewers, this is heavyweight boxing. You like they look at our prediction and say, you mans are too gassed about AJ. This is heavyweight boxing. We're not gonna make a prediction because we're not too sure where it can go.
It's heavyweight boxing. Listen, that is. If you want to sit on the fence, yeah, do you, boo boo? But the point being is that you give a prediction about what you think is happening in the fight. Yes, it's heavyweight boxing, and you could be wrong, and you could get proven wrong. Fine, Povetkin White is a prime example. It is heavyweight boxing. I appreciate that, but end of the day, you still got to look at what's in front of you. If you put Liverpool, who are champions of in the Premier League, against, I don't know, flipping Crawley, whatever, right? You can look at that and say, right, what's in front of me? This is cup, the magic of the FA Cup, for example. Some magic of the FA Cup. But the fact of the matter is, these are the champions at the top. These guys are in whatever league. That would tell me these guys are probably going to beat these guys. That's all you're saying. That's all you're giving. Yes, it's heavyweight boxing, and one punch could change it. It's like anything. They could stick a penalty in, and they could ride their luck, and they win that game. That's fine, but you can only call what's in front of you. You can see the cases that are presented and say, right, okay, this is what I think is going to happen. And in that boxing world, it's no different.
And a question we want to ask you guys is: did you see the fight the same way? As in, like, did you think now Joshua is good enough is a solid performance to show you that he can actually go in there and beat AJ? Beat Fury, because I know people do believe that. And do you think that this fight actually happens as well? So that's.
And my question would be about that fight is: are you looking at it? Is it glass half empty or glass half full? Do you look at that and say, you know what, job done, that's what you need to do, or do you look at that and think to yourself, that's giving me more question marks than answers to what Joshua is all about? Do you think he can prep for a Tyson Fury? What does he have to do to beat Fury? Can he beat Fury? That'd be my questions.
So until the next one, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and definitely comment. Peace.